What's good, people? So look, let's get right into it, man. You know I have to randomly relate. Reverse rants, no hate. We've been hearing a lot of talk about people being overly muscular, right? It's true to a degree. But let me tell you what people are not understanding. And if you've never been really ripped up and muscular, I don't even want to say overly muscular, okay? Because if you're overly muscular, that means you're too tight to throw punches properly. That's not just because you're muscular. If you can box, but you have an issue with your conditioning, okay, and cardio and things like that, that's a conditioning problem, okay? Overly muscular. If you're considered that, that means you're stiff. You can't throw fluid punches, you know. Anyway, look. The reason, it's not because you have muscles, okay? Understand, boxing trainers, especially old school boxing trainers, they have this narrative that, oh, when you have muscles like that, you just fatigue faster because you gotta, get oxygen to those muscles. True. The reason why, okay, this is the reason that guys get so fatigued, that's muscular, okay? It's when they like the bodybuilder look, they don't have a proper balance of cardio, strength and conditioning along with their boxing. You heard Floyd Mayweather Sr. before when he was talking about the strength and conditioning coach that was with Pacquiao was supposed to be working with Floyd, and Floyd, I need that. My son don't need that. Look, that's their mentality. But reality is, okay, when you stretch properly and you stretch enough and you keep loose and you put the cardio in, think about even just going to the gym, right? A guy that goes to the gym and I call it mirror muscles, okay? The guy with the mirror muscles. He's just big but he's not athletic, can't do anything other than just walk around and pose, okay? You don't see those guys get on treadmills, elliptical machines. They don't jog. All they do is lift weights and take all these substances and shit and all these products. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is the mirror muscles. Okay, I'm 247 pounds. I play ball with guys and it's like I'm guarding the guy. He's 130. This little fast motherfucker, like, damn, why are you so fast, man? I can't shake you. Okay, and it's other things that you do to condition your body. Even when I hit the bag, you ever see people hit the bag doing this shit? When they shadow boxing, what the fuck is this? Are we dancing to music? Or are we, right? Punches should be coming from here. Punches should be coming from not, what the fuck is this, right? So all of this shit trying to look pretty, trying to look cool, or they throw punches at the bag, trying to, show pretty combinations. I hit the bag as if I'm actually in a fight. And I spend a lot of time hitting, and just punching continuously, right? Continuously hitting the bag. I like the kind of punching bag. Personally, at home, I have the bag that moves, it swivels at the spring at the bottom, and it swivels, okay? Because it allows you to move and throw shots like you would if shots was coming back at you, and if you had an actual moving target as an opponent, versus a bag that's just sitting there and you just hitting it. You get more out of that bag to me. I like it way better. Okay? At the end of the day, I have no problem going 12 rounds, 15 rounds, or whatever. Neither did Ken Norton. People said Holyfield had issues with his Holyfield. Come to find out later, it wasn't conditioning, it wasn't his cardio, it was other things with Holyfield. Ken Norton could go no problem. Bruce Seldon, he wasn't that good of a fighter, but Bruce Seldon was able. And look, come on, Bruce Seldon, Jeff Lacey, these guys were able to do it. Okay, and they had the type of builds that people say, oh, they need to lose some of that muscle. You think that Anthony Joshua lost some of the bulk with just in a couple of months, and all of a sudden now, Anthony Joshua went 12 rounds with Joseph Parker. He did it against Ruiz, and he moved constantly. I think Anthony Joshua had the proper balance. You can still work out. You can still be muscular, and you still can have the same type of conditioning. You have to work out harder because of all the working out you're doing, the weights. Yeah, you have to make sure, you just got to make sure it's consistent and getting your rest. It's not just because you're muscular, man. I get like people say that all the time. Oh man, that's too much, that's too much. And that's why when you see an athlete that can actually compete on that level with no problem, the first thing they start saying is he's on something, he's juicing, which is completely stupid, because even though, you know, steroids will give you an energy boost and a 5% muscle increase, 5%, that's all. It's not going to have you where all night long you're just hopping around and you just like all of a sudden now I can go 12 rounds. It's like this, okay? You have to train the way boxers train, but you have to add to that. It always helped me. It always helped me. You think a basketball player, the way they train to play basketball, right? You think a basketball player can train in a basketball training style and then go play football and have the same and be successful? You think he had the strength to boom, burst out the blocks and make hits? And you think he could do all that training for basketball? Vice versa. You think a football player could train the way they play football and go play basketball with football training? No. No. Now, you can take elements from both sides of training that prepares you physically, stamina-wise, but no, you can't. You have to be able to, okay, I have to be able to incorporate this into my workout. Otherwise, I won't be able to do the things I need to be successful. It's just as simple as that. You can't just lift weights and then slack on the conditioning. Now, I'll give you an example of a guy who was never big, but he was always ripped up, was Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was as cut in his tone as anybody, right? Bernard Hopkins, as I remember him saying, he was more, starting with the Chad Dawson fight, and he said he was more focused on technique, working on technique, and like more with the conditioning. But if you notice, he had no snap in his punch. His punches was like nothing. Chad Dawson walked through him. He made Chad Dawson look like he was better than what he actually is. Chad Dawson, he couldn't hurt Chad Dawson. He couldn't hurt what's the guy name? The guy that just got beat, Kova. He couldn't even stun these guys. He had nothing. You see when he fought Tarver, he still was cutting tone. You have to have, look, why do you shadow box with weights? So with the weight in your hand, when you don't have those weights in your hands, right? And that's why you use weights that's heavier than your gloves, right? So 5 to 10 pounds, and you're throwing punches. Sometimes I use 20, 25 pounds, just to, you know, and that's heavy to be throwing punches with. But it works. Now, when you don't have those weights in your hands, your fucking hands are like butterfly wings, man. Just, you know. Bernard Hopkins wasn't tight anymore. His body looked soft. You look at any fighter in the history of boxing who was really toned and muscular, and then they stopped doing those things, their punching power was not the same at all. And I think what Bernard was believing was that he would have to have the conditioning where even if the guys went in the earlier rounds, that he'd be able to take over later in the fight, like he tried with Jermaine Taylor, and he was still ripped in. But I just think stylistically, like Hopkins, even though I thought Hopkins won that fight, that first one anyway, I thought he won that fight. Anyway, because I felt like Taylor really did anything to overwhelm him. I feel like, yo, I am just better than you. You know, I've seen fights where a guy did better than Taylor did and still didn't get the decision. But anyway, his punching power wasn't the same. His punches were like slaps. And then Chad Dawson even said, man, his punching power, like, I didn't feel his punches. And we know that Andre Ward is not known to be a big puncher, but Chad Dawson respected Andre Ward's punching power. You understand what I'm saying? And now that was at 168. I think he fought him at 160. Well, 168 or I don't, whatever weight it was. Bottom line is, Bernard Hopkins didn't have that sting in his shot anymore. So no, it's a misconception, man. Yeah, if you just lift weights and then you slack on your cardio, of course you're going to get fatigued faster. But no, that is a huge misconception, and especially nowadays where you have so many different methods of training, where you can do more than just hit the speed bag and, you know, the balance ball, all that shit, man. The shit for you, you know, all of this shit that just the typical. You understand what I'm saying? You ever see people have that little ball on their hat and they just, their little crown, and they just, all this little shit for eye coordination and all this hand-eye coordination stuff and all this, like, all of that is one thing, but like the conditioning where you can, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you playing ball, you have to sprint up and down the court sometimes 4 or 5 times back to back, just, and you, all right, let's go. You can't do that when you're not in shape. It's just simple. So that's why I like the term fight shape versus being in shape is 2 different things. And I think that when the guys get a lot of knockouts, especially, they feel like they don't have to really go that hard. But no, I do agree. When you're really muscular, you have to push yourself harder, because why? You're making that time that you make to keep yourself like that, so bulky. And yeah, you have to have equal time to get the conditioning, get your cardio up. And a lot of guys, they train the same way instead of up and, you know, let's turn it up. Let's turn the intensity up. You know, Joshua danced and moved and punched all night long, man, and he didn't look tired at all at the end of those 12 rounds. You don't fucking get like that in just a couple of months. That's bullshit. It was there. His body had it, but Joshua, to me, like, whatever happened in the Ruiz fight, why he was so tired early in the fight or whatever, I don't know, but the conditioning is there. It's just like sometimes, you, like, if you're running a race, right? Not even a race. Let's say you're jogging, right? And sometimes you might jog with a person that's been jogging forever, and that person starts up and it's like, damn, and you like, motherfucker, damn, slow down. You have to run your pace. And then I remember dealing with that, and then I'm thinking, what could I do to get my conditioning up to where I can run that fast like he's doing? Because now I want to do it, you know? And I started doing different things other than what I was already doing. And guess what? Now when he takes off, boom, I take right off with him. Not to mention, I'm like 60 pounds heavier than he is. And like, damn, he's looking at me like, damn, okay. He's waiting at some point for me to start to fade. And then, nope, every step of the way. You have to change your way of training. It's just as simple as that. It's nothing hard about it, man. The problem is, like I said, people don't step up their training game, but they continue to train the same way. And then it's like, well, at some point you have to understand, like, look, if I want to go to 12 rounds, like, that's one of the, you know, I have to do more. I have to train harder than just 12 rounds. I've always was taught that, and like, that's why, like I said, one of the guys that I really respect as a boxer too is Terry Norris, man, because not only was he superbly skilled, man, that guy, his conditioning was crazy, man. Like, Terry, every round, man, you see him throw flurries, and like he was just like a machine, man. And it was like, yeah, I respect that. And I don't know what he was doing, but I know what I was doing. And it was like, you feel the difference, and you know, like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. And you're doing 12 rounds of sparring and fighting guys and doing shit, and it's like, yeah, guess what? I can do it. So, you know, we was taught, no, we train to go 22 rounds. We're gonna train. We're not gonna train to just stalk and pose, and no, we're gonna train. So when we're letting them hands fly, and yeah, it takes a lot out of you, man, because you got to, the harder and the more you train, the more rest you have to get. It's a discipline thing. It's no, oh, he's just too muscular. No. When you're overly muscular, like I said, it impedes your ability to, you know, snap shots out there and be fluid and can move. You know, it's not just because everything is stiff and tight and you don't have it. You see how big those. You see when guys that have mirror muscles try to fight a box, how they stick their hands out here, like, you know, and they rely on intimidation, because they think once they hit you that it's over, and then they don't realize, like, they don't even know how to punch properly. You know, they can't. They can't. That's overly muscular. Okay? But just because you're muscular and you're really ripped and bulky, that's not cut up muscles on top of muscles. That don't mean you can't go 12 rounds or 15. No, that's bullshit. It's the way you train. It's all about conditioning. And if I didn't do it myself and see other people do it and was a part of it, I couldn't say what I'm saying. So for people that was never muscular, yeah, you're going by that, and you got scared of it and thought, you know, hey, man, like, I remember guys saying, fuck that, I don't train my neck, man. Shit, you fuck your neck up, that's a wrap. And I said, listen, you know, when you get hit and you have a strong neck, it takes the impact off that shock absorber, they call it. Like, when you booming, you know, when you have a little chicken neck, man, you're subject to get knocked out easy. You see guys with big necks get knocked down and take a hell of a punch that even if the ref call it out, the fact that they're able to get back up to their feet, you understand what I'm saying? Like, no. So I always train my neck as well. But it's like I train everything. I train everybody. Calves, glutes, hamstrings, quads, abs, shoulders, neck, everything. Obliques, like everything. Forearms. I don't leave anybody part out. But when people say that it's not good to be muscular, no, that's why. Because these guys, they have the muscles, but they don't up their training regimen. They continue to do the same things, and it's like, no, man, you have to do more. You have to. It's as simple as that. So that's why I say, watch guys like Bruce Seldon, watch guys like Ken Norton, Jeff Lacey. I'm not talking about how good they were as fighters or whatever. I'm talking about, look at their punch output. Look at the fact that they could punch, they could fight for the 12 rounds or 15 rounds or whatever, and yeah, they could make it. The guy they was fighting wasn't muscular and all that, and so yeah, what's the point? You understand what I'm saying? So when these guys are saying, when they're saying that it's not good to be muscular, no, you don't have to be skinny like Deontay Wilder. It's no, Larry Holmes, the guys that is strictly conditioning. So they're not focused at all on lifting weights. That's fine. But at the same time, that's why a lot of these guys as well, and it's not always because you're big you can punch. Because remember James Thunder, right? The guy from, I think he was from New Zealand. That guy had very little punching power. For his size, he couldn't punch that hard, man. Bruce Seldon was another guy that was big, and his punch didn't match his body. His punching power just did. So just because you're big don't mean that you can punch. You should, if you know how to punch properly, you can get your weight behind your shots. But the point I'm getting at is these guys were able to fight for 12 rounds, 15 rounds, or whatever. And I think like people don't pay attention to that. And I'm pretty sure there's some other guys that I left out of that equation. But yeah, I mean, no. Like I said, I'm 247, man, and I still do the same things the same way. And to say that you can't do it, and when you fight all this bullshit, you just repeating what Teddy Atlas say, what Max Kellerman and all these other guys say, and then people think that this shit is just like a fact. No, it's not a fact. It's a fact that you can get you up your cardio, man. It's as simple as that. And that's what you have to do. It's like Michael Jordan saying, hey, I gotta gain some size and some muscle, man, because I'm taking the beat and going in the paint. These guys, it didn't affect him. It didn't affect his ability to see. It didn't make him tighter, but you can see this difference in his physique, and you could also see that he was able to go in there and take more. It's like you're hardening, you're tight, the density, everything. I mean, no, man, it's not like you're hindering yourself because you're muscular. You're hindering yourself if you just lift weights and focus on lifting weights more than you're doing your cardio and getting that exercise to, get your heart used to that, man. It's just like when you go in the park and you sprint, right? Some people just jog. I jog and then I sprint. Do that 60-yard sprint, 3 or 4 times, and then move. While I'm doing it, instead of stopping, just move, stay on my feet. Let me walk, even if I just walk. Because your heart is used to carrying that. You understand what I'm saying? And being able to carry that load. So once you get to a point where you're constantly stopping, that's what happens to you in a fight. That's why when you see fighters that have crazy conditioning, man, it's like they constantly work at their conditioning. So like I said, when you put time in to work out and get muscular like that, and to be honest with you, man, there's so many exercises you can do to stay bulky and muscular, and you don't have to do 3-4 hour workouts to do it. You just got to know what you're doing. Anyway, that's all I want to say on that video. Catch y'all on the next one.